that color, I'm going to darken it half a color, half a shade. And so I want to reserve that light color as much as I can. So if I go over this, I might use more of a side blending where I just put very, very little ink on the page. And once again, I've had a few little boo-boos, but you know, honestly, my other Copic markers I color for the dress is going to cover this up. Now let's take a look at her other arm. And I'm going to bring us in a little bit farther here so that you can see her other arm has a lot more shadowing going on. And it's not only being shadowed. Let's look at the overhead light source, okay? The lightest areas are going to be here, right? But she also has shadowing not only from her dress, right, but also from her bracelet, and her hair is shadowing it also. So let's go in with the E51. And you can do a little tiny feather stroke. It's using the side of your marker, just the side of the tip. Once again, just a little bit here, a little bit here for shadowing. Now I'm going to go in with my E00 and blend into that. Now I'm left with my E50, and I'm going to start by blending into that color so I can reserve that white space so I can have a highlight, and it adds to more of a look of shading. You really have to wait a second after these have been blended, because what happens is these dry, because there's alcohol in these markers, are going to dry and the color is going to change just a little bit. And you're going to see areas that didn't blend so well, or areas that are too dark or a little bit too light. There we go. Now I've reserved this. I'm going to go over this very lightly to get my highlight in the arm. Okay. I'm going to move the image just a little bit, and we're going to look at her legs. Her legs also pose a different problem. Okay. When you're looking at with the top overhead light source, it seems very cut and dry. However, she has a lot of different things shading her legs. She's got the shoes, she's got her skirt. Okay. So as the light enters, this is going to be our lightest area here. However, over here is going to have a little bit of shadowing. On this leg, this is going to be the lightest area here, but once again, you have the shadowing of the dress and the shadowing of the shoes. So let's go ahead and lay in our E51 on this top leg here. And I'm going to bring it all the way down here in her shoe. Now I'm going to reserve the rest of that shadowing for the E00 because there is so much direct light hitting this leg. I'm kind of blending in. We go a little bit around that strap. And it's definitely possible to do this stuff to get into those little teeny tiny places because of the brush tip. That's what makes these markers so just fantastic for coloring, because a lot of these stamps are so little and the details are so tiny that you need to be able to get in there with something tiny like that. And I never used another, I mean, even when I was using Prismacolors, no matter how sharp I got the color of my pencil, it was almost impossible to work in an area like this without messing up the other areas when you start adding the Gamsol in. I mean, this is just a fantastic coloring medium. Once again, I'm going to let this dry just a little bit and then see if I need to add any more shadowing any place. I'll clean up my area here. I tend to do that a lot just because I'm a little, it'll just bug me. All right, so let's look at the other leg. I like the way that that's looking. She's actually looking super cute. Once again, when we're looking at our overhead light source, very cut and dry. Light's entering, right? Light's leaving. Simple. We have to take into account this one leg is shadowing the other leg right there, and then the dress. Okay? And then this dress is going to add a little bit of shadow down the leg like it did in the other one. Go back under the shoe here. You get the heaviest shadowing down here, a little bit by the strap. Now I'm going to go in, because this E51 is kind of a brownish color, I'm going to go in with my E00. And I can use that for my top of my leg here. And because that legs are not entirely circular, but they kind of sort of look like a column if you think about it. And because of that, you need to have a little bit of darkness on the edge of that in order to show that there's a circular or a rounded section to that leg. Now I'm going to blend in with my E50. Reserving that white area. Back over it very lightly. Oh, she's really cute. Isn't she cute? Okay, I'm going to pull back from her. Sorry, I just love these images. They're some of my favorites. And you can see her whole body is done. Okay. When we look at coloring bodies, they're different than faces. Faces, you're going to have most of your shading due to the hair. Or it could be hats. I colored a lot of images with hats. With the hair or the hats. Or it could be that you have, you know, an object. I've seen objects on top of the head like a bird, or I've seen some with, you know, cups, right? There's all different things that can be on top of a head. So those would shadow your face. But there's not as much as will shadow the body. When you look at the body, you have to take in consideration the jewelry, you have to take in consideration the clothing, the shoes, how all of these things will shadow the body. So it's not a straightforward kind of shading. Let's look at one more image from With a Joy. And this is Willow, I think it's writing recipes. Is she not to die for cute? Seriously. Okay, so let's look at her. To me, she signifies more of a side light source. The reason why I say that is, can you see how her head is tilted down? Her face is to this direction. Okay, so to me, the light source would be coming from this direction. Can you color it from that direction? Absolutely. Can you color it from overhead? Absolutely you can. But let's look at a side, and let's look at that, how that affects the coloring of the face and the coloring of the body. I'm going to go in once more with my E51. And once again, the face is always going to be darkest closest to the hair. Okay. This is a super tiny area. So you really need to work with just the very tip of your brush tip. If the light's coming this way, the light's going to be strongest on the face from this direction here. I'm going to go in with my E50 and color into those darker colors, the E51 and the E00. So they blend. Once again, where I like the blending, I'm going to go ahead and color very lightly for the rest of the face. Now once again, for cheeks, favorite color, R20. It's a go-to color. I think it's really very believable for cheek color, especially when you look at the children colors. You know, they're just so, they have the cutest little flush cheeks. So let's go ahead and give her a little cheek in here. Now, looks really dark. Never fear. Clean off your tip of your marker. Go back over it to blend it. Okay. Now, once again, I like a stronger shadow closest to the face. So I'm going to pull out my E51 and I'm going to give myself a little bit more of a shadow. Now, there's not a lot of skin on Willow, looking at the recipes. There's just her hands. But when you look at the hands, once again, what should be very simple turns a little bit more complicated. Light entering, light leaving, right? Light entering, light leaving. And you see a lot of these images have a lot of clothing on them with very little skin showing. It also increases the difficulty, but I can definitely show you how to take care of that. So on the hand, the face is shading the hand.